Yet again, there are a couple of comics that have figured out how to make a fan following as gigantic as Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has been a conspicuous figure in Hollywood after his ascent to distinction following the Chappelle Show. Yet, like everything, popularity too includes some significant downfalls. The Goliaths in the business could do without any craftsman accomplishing a lot of notoriety or achievement. And to keep their influence, they will effectively cut the craftsman down. Dave Chappelle was executed before us. Dave Chappelle has seen the great and the revolting side of Hollywood. And he has a couple of stories to tell about what truly happens in the background. One thing is without a doubt Hollywood isn't quite as shining and breathtaking as it shows up from far off. And on the off chance that there's any individual who generally knew it was Dave, he knew all the cash on the planet wouldn't be sufficient pay for how the Hollywood enormous supervisors treat you. It was such a lot of cash. How is it that you could ken that and yakety yak? Yet you say whether I had taken that cash and finished the show, man would have the cash yet. I may in all likelihood never have been a similar. Any individual who attempts to remain against the tip-top gets harassed and censured. And Dave Chappelle had his reasonable portion of disparaging stories, where he was called names and he needed to watch his companions and well-wishers betray him like he reviews in this interview. And the drum thump is he's insane, he smokes saltines. This is that it was sometime it was a wild encounter, the manner in which individuals near you respond to like I have fizzled, or I destroyed my life. Yet in spite of this large number of difficulties and treacheries, Dave has stood tall and turned into the voice against the Hollywood elites. Dave wasn't the one in particular who went through horrendous treatment because of his managers, yet he was the only one valiant enough to defend himself. Yet what he didn't understand was that his foe was a framework based on many long stretches of mistreatment. Who precisely is Dave Chappelle facing? And how far has he figured out how to come after such a long time? You're going to hear the fabulous life and battles of Dave Chappelle and his battle against the Hollywood large names. Dave versus Fox. Bigoted Chiefs. Hollywood is known for its bigoted and biased rehearses. Dark entertainers need to battle 2 times as hard for the valuable open doors that others effectively get in the business. Obviously, it will not be difficult to dispose of forever and a day of foundational persecution, with only a couple of castings, particularly since the higher powers actually need to control everything. As per Chappelle and Tolan, the leaders at Fox proposed changing the lead female person from dark to white, as opposed to being more comprehensive of minorities and individuals of color. The chiefs at Fox concluded that it was the white individuals that required more consideration, and that too on a person of color show. As per Dave, he was the person who thoroughly took care of his Chappelle show. You realize it was like you must do everything. Definitely I have to compose a show and do the show regardless of this. He was requested to change the lead cast of the show into a white lady. Dave needed dark portrayal on his show. And notwithstanding the entirety of his commitment towards the show, he was being prohibited from such significant choices. The demand to change the cast left Dave sickened. After all the number of shows at the time that had an all-white cast that nobody disapproved of except for when a person of color made a show for his kin, projecting individuals of color unexpectedly, the chiefs raised issues. Dave discussed this in a meeting. They fly me out for an innovative gathering. I'm in a room brimming with white individuals, and they continue to explain to me why we want more white individuals on the show, so it can have a more widespread allure. Notwithstanding such countless shows taking care of white crowds, Dave was being approached to shape his show so the white individuals could see themselves in it. This organization fabricated itself on dark watchers, and what they're talking about is white individuals are self-centered. They would rather not watch individuals of color. They need to watch themselves. It tells each dark craftsman, regardless of what you do, you really want whites to succeed. I felt like I was pulsated up and totally debased. It's nauseating. And it made me need to upchuck. Even the leader maker of the show, Peter Tolan, concurred with Dave's perspective. Fox Diversion's prejudice had been an insult for both Tolan and Dave. Tolan talked about this straightforwardly and said we were attempting to do a practical portrayal of Dave's life, not a dark show, but rather a brilliant entertaining show that turned out to be dark. Yet Fox said there should be more white faces, essentially Dave Chappelle can't show up on Fox television except if Whitey gets him in the entryway. It's humiliating, and I understood I was unable to do it. I felt ethically it was off base in the event that the maker likewise didn't need these progressions. Then who did this occurrence truly woke Dave up to what truly happens in the business. And who is in charge? Obviously, the higher-ups at Fox Diversion denied any such claims. As per them, prejudice wasn't planned, and they were just making an honest idea. The Fox network regards the extraordinary point of view and trustworthiness of every individual from its crowd, and to recommend anything less is upsetting and disturbing, considering our previous, present, and future endeavors. Dave was so upset by this episode that he did a unique zeroing in on the issue of bigotry. Voyaging has made me a bigotry epicurean. Assuming you know it's not the same as locale to district. He's a comic, and an incredible one. So he handled the issue with humor and happy tomfoolery. Yet bringing it up in any case proposes that he was, as a matter of fact, extremely irate about it. Prejudice is uncontrolled in Hollywood, and the leaders and higher-ups have consistently had their influence in ensuring the unevenness remains. Dave was enraged on the grounds that following quite a while of difficult work and coarseness, he had handled his most memorable open door. Yet the Hollywood elites demolished it for him. Simply because of the shade of his skin, I can't completely accept that somebody did that to me. Individuals are similarly basically as furious as Dave, as some of them have taken to virtual entertainment to feature exactly the amount Hollywood is liable for prejudice in the business. One Twitter client composed, "For what reason do you think our kin have recently begun to officially break into Hollywood, like en masse in 2019? Perhaps this is on the grounds that it's bigotry. This is bigotry locals have and keep on being kept down effectively in Hollywood. From recounting our accounts since one break the dam breaks. Fox Network always remembered the way that Dave has stood up before an organization as strong as them. And even years after the fact, individuals related with the organization continue bringing him up and defaming his name. He denounced the bigoted comments of Candace Owens, who was a writer and moderator, and is related with Fox Network. Candace had raised the demise of George Floyd and inquired as to why he was made into a legend regardless of being an individual of color. Herself, Candace, kept on being bigoted, and Dave was not having it, so he answered a visit, "We didn't pick him, you did, they killed him." And that wasn't correct, so he's the person. We're not frantic for legends in the African American population. Any swear word that endures this bad dream is my goddamn legend. Another Fox News have transparently reported how bigoted she was by requesting that LeBron James shut up, and spill. This drove Chappelle mad, and he answered. She advised one of Ohio's most noteworthy occupants to quiet down and spill. I'll educate you something concerning LeBron James. He was on the front of Sports Represented when he was 17 years of age and surpassed each assumption they had of him. My companion is awesome at something, and she's not awesome at anything. She's a standard white lady with a stage. The web is likewise irate at the unmitigated bigotry of Fox News that is as yet happening till date. One individual tweeted, "I realize it's revolting how explicitly Fox advances prejudice, racial oppression, and rebellion, without saying, sorry, Fox organization ought to be restricted from broadcasting. They are attempting to make a nationwide conflict where their activities are criminal." Funny TV, needing to slave. Dave Chappelle. Funny TV was once the greatest stage for jokesters and growing craftsmen. The well-known network was renowned for its diverting show and its new and arising entertainers. During the 2000s, the stage struck gold when they handled an agreement with, as a matter of fact, Dave Chappelle. The show turned out to be well known to such an extent that out of nowhere Dave was a commonly recognized name all over America, and Funny TV was the most famous station for individuals to tune in. The Chappelle Show was a tremendous hit thanks to Dave's comedic virtuoso and the ideal conveyance of the cast. In only 3 seasons and 28 episodes, Chappelle's show had the option to lay out an enduring inheritance on TV fans all around the world. Actually discussed the show and the amount they cherished it. One such fan composed, "We had something unique." When the Chappelle Show was broadcasting in real time, Dave believed that after the Fox disaster, Funny TV would have been a place of refuge, a spot where he could unreservedly communicate his thoughts and not need to stress over extremism and race prejudice. This was his opportunity to reward his African American community. Maintained that his work should be something that individuals of color could be glad for. He talked about how significant this was to him on the Oprah. Demonstrate one of the individuals of color to be frustrated. Me putting that out there, they should be disheartened in yourself. Dave needed to ensure that he included his local area. In this show, he needed to welcome individuals of color, dark specialists and artists to the show to create up for the open doors that the bigoted Hollywood chiefs don't give them yet. Tragically, this was likewise a fantasy that never emerged. Funny TV was never the sanctuary Dave had trusted it to be. I accept that they gave me an off-base arrangement. Since this industry is a beast, the organization was simply one more cash-hungry association that can't muster the energy to care about individuals of color. They continually encouraged Dave to make more secure substance, simpler, more secure jokes that wouldn't cause any response or change. Funny TV began to direct what Dave could and couldn't discuss on his show, and his opportunity was in risk. We didn't continuously